Well, the very term BRIC is, has to do with countries that are rising from a past that was less prosperous, that was more difficult, mired in poverty. So all of them, every one of the BRICS, the traditional ones, including, and if we're going to add South Africa, but Brazil, Russia, China, India and China all have significant segments of their population that are living in poverty, either below the line of poverty or in absolute poverty. I think this is especially true of India, which has only begun to address these problems really in the last decade. So there are great inequalities in India between the countryside and its modern sectors. Brazil has, with Bolsa Familia and other programs begun by the Cardoso and extended by the Lula governments, Bolsa Familia from Lula, has really had a miraculous and rapid rise in the numbers of people in the middle class and in the working class, and a great reduction in the numbers of people who are below the line of poverty. Perhaps 30 million people in Brazil have been able to pull themselves out with government help. I think that the Brazil project itself, the Bolsa Familia, is really a model for the world. You channel the money through mainly the females in the family. You pay people to have the children get medical checkups on a regular basis. You pay them to go to school. As they move up in school, the amount of reward rises. It's handled well within the family. This all contributes significantly to the emergence of these groups out of poverty. China is also a major success story, and there's a great deal to be learned from China. By rapid economic growth over a decade and a half or more, China has been able to lift literally tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people within its population out of the deep poverty that characterized it throughout the period of Mao, the Great Leap Forward, and then the efforts that China undertook to recover from the Mao Great Leap Forward. Under these circumstances, each of the countries has different challenges. There are interesting experiments in how to lift the population out of poverty in each of these. The two that I would signal as most important are Brazil first, within the context of a democratic framework, respect for human rights, and a market-oriented economy. But China's achievements are no less impressive. They may actually be more impressive. Russia has a very severe problem because it is increasingly unequal. It's a capitalist society, but its trends toward authoritarianism are very severe, and they have not been able to bring along the bulk of the Russian population, which has made many Russians long for the good old days of communist dictatorship. In a country like South Africa, which is a multiracial society, only recently making the move from apartheid, the challenges at the racial level, although they have diminished, remain extensive, and the challenges of lifting people out of poverty have only begun to see serious efforts to grapple with them in the South African context. So South Africa is, as one of the most recent to be added to the BRICS, has a very long road. A very long road to travel before it can match the successes of either Brazil or China.